Welcome, everybody.
Welcome back.
Back to our podcast 2. Wanted to dive in a little bit more so than we did on the first intro of what is SIA of North Carolina. Travis, you get that question a lot. So what do you tell people?
Yeah, it is the most common question I receive, especially when talking to people who've never heard of us. And at the end of the day, we're described as a lot of different things by the industry: cluster, aggregator, partnership, market access, all these different things. We like to go by an agency partnership, and the reason why is because we encompass all of those things within our relationship. I like to tell prospective members at the end of the day, our job's to drive dollars to your bottom line, and we're in the business of doing that kind of through 3 unique pillars. One is market access. You know, we help agencies with markets. The other side of it is the dollars, right? You know, increasing revenues through aggregation and profit sharing incentives that we have access to. And the third is a broad term, support, but it encompasses everything from training and development, you know, technology, hiring, staffing, you name it, right? You know, we're here to support our members, and our thought process being, you know, those pillars combine to address the challenges of being a small business owner, not just an insurance agency. And I think that's where we separate ourselves from the competition, in that, you know, we're trying to help you as a business owner, not just write an insurance policy. You know, that's going to come along the way naturally, but ultimately that's our goal. How do we help you as a business owner build the most valuable entity you possibly can?
Okay, so, you know, you kind of said something there that I want to kind of throw back at you. You know, does everybody need agency partnership? How does that work in the independent agency world that we live in?
You know, from a bias perspective, yes, everybody needs an agency partnership, right? But from a realistic perspective, you know, not all agencies are looking for the same things, and not all agency, you know, partnerships are created equally, right? There's a lot of different models in the marketplace. You know, depending on where you are in your lifespan as an agency is really going to determine what's the right fit for you.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think for those of you that are new to the independent insurance agency system, or new trying to start your business, I know there's going to be some listeners out there that are just kind of poking around and trying to figure out what we are. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah, I hate to say this, but there may be some more stuff coming later. You know, when we really talk about diving into market access, and then our PMSF and contingency and override planning and things of that nature, I think those are separate topics that we probably need to hit on later, maybe in a little more detail, into our promise to the viewers of keeping these short. But you know, I think this is one of the questions that, you know, there's some popular partnerships out there. I think if people Google things, they're going to find all sorts of things. I do believe if they Google agency partnerships, clusters, aggregators, SIAA is going to pop up.
It will.
SIA of North Carolina could pop up depending on where geographically you're located. You know, so Travis, like we said, when people Google us or Google clusters or partnerships, what pops up?
I think a lot of it has to do with what they're actually Googling, right? You know, I think your Google search is going to pop up different options because there's different models in the marketplace. I mean, if you Google market access, you're going to get somebody who's more of a brokerage style relationship.
And I think one of those things that sets us aside is our team, you know, and how we operate, how the SIA structure even operates, with the agency growth coaches.
Mm-hmm. I like to tell people when they're talking to us and that you can touch and feel us, right? You know, I think one of the things that our industry is terrible at in general, you know, as someone who I'm 38, about to turn 39, I'm not that young anymore, but I'm young in our industry, right?
Right.
We a lot of people it's sink or swim. And a lot of these organizations, they're the same way. You know, hey, you can sign a contract, you can give them some money, you can give them your time, you can try to write business with them, and it's really up to you to make that successful or not. I think where we really have success, as you said, is the team is, you know, hey, we've got our agency growth coach, Whitney Oliver, who's there holding your hand, you know, right after you come on board with us. I think it's a unique factor that allows us to have more success in the long run because it's not just you're on your own.
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, I'm going to get back to the team, right, and who we have. I think we have great people. I think most master agencies, I can't speak for everybody, but I think most master agencies within the SIA system and the model that they created and we've evolved. I mean, this isn't something that's stood still. Like you said, the SIA model last podcast, was created in the early 80s. To your point is we're here to help. Hey, does this work? Have you seen this before? What's going on out in the marketplace, where we really are out there in the field and know what's going on and know what's going on with the carriers.
I agree. I mean, I think one of the biggest challenges of being a small business owner, not just an insurance agent, is you're so focused on your business. It's hard to see where the market's going. It's hard to understand what's going on, in the market in general, and just our eyes and ears on the marketplace and the data that allows us to kind of collect, not saying it's all right, but just the data, to your point, you can bounce ideas off of it, and we can go and say, hey, look, we've seen this. This is what it does, right? And then you can say, hey, it's a good idea, bad idea. You make the decision at the end of the day of what you want to do.
Yeah, okay. So, Travis, in closing, anything else about what SIA of North Carolina is that people ask that we just didn't hit on this podcast?
No, I think we covered it all, and it probably went a little longer than we expected it to, but I think we covered it all. And like you said, some of these things like contingencies and equity and ownership, all that stuff, they deserve their own sort of day and time to have that conversation, and we can cover those down the road.
Cool. Well, look, we want to thank everybody for listening to podcast 2 here on what is SIA of North Carolina, or who is SIA of North Carolina. We look forward to seeing you back here next week with our next topic. And, thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. You can catch our Build Your Legacy Insurance Edition podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, or send us over a topic recommendation at podcast@siaofnc.com. If you're interested in learning more about what we do, visit us online at www.siaofnc.com. We hope you enjoyed our newest episode. See you next week.